After about a 4-hour rain delay that forced us to stop things and not get this thing underway until now, we are going to be playing some tennis. Incessant rain has been the issue here. Singles finals are at stake for Mark Bay, the Tennis Coaching Hall of Famer. I'm Brian Fenley. We are on campus at the University of San Diego, presented this broadcast by Cracked Rackets, and a place where here, Mark, we're going to start out with women's singles and the final featuring for the second straight week in a final in Tien, and she's going to go up against Aspen Schumann. They've never faced off against one another. What are you most looking forward to in that matchup?
Hey, good late afternoon, Brian. I certainly am happy that we're going to get to play some tennis. What a compelling matchup. An aspiring, 15-year-old upstart junior who's been in the nationals at the Easter Bowl level. That's actually having a run in a 15K, and she's going to take on an actual NCAA champion. So what a compelling intrigue to see sort of the future versus the current relative to college tennis. And with the age gap of 4 years, how does that actually transpose itself onto a tennis match? It's great. Tien is still in school. She's playing matches. She's studying. Schumann is out of school for the year and out swinging free. I'm really excited to see what the ladies' final holds.
There are so many storylines in that matchup, which is about to start in just a few moments. Also, and these are two matches that are going to be happening simultaneously. Initially, it was going to be women's singles final here as part of what is the second week of USTA Pro Circuit SoCal Summer Series, but they're going to have to play the final simultaneously now just because of being that we had that weather delay. It's going to be on court 4 at the same time. Well, maybe a few minutes after the women's final gets underway, but Jacob Brumm is going to be going up against Jack Anthrop, and these are two guys that went the college tennis route. One of them is only 19 years old, Mark. So we saw, and as you mentioned, there's a bit of an age gap on the women's side of things, but there's also a 5-year age gap on the men's side, as Anthrop just finishing his freshman year at Ohio State, and Brumm already spent 5 years dominating in college tennis as he now embarks on the pro ranks.
Yeah, it's a big time matchup of two guys who are in their first final. The game styles actually vary a little bit. I think Anthrop has the ability to sort of play back and cat and mouse, but also come forward. And I think Brumm took on a little bit more of an offensive role yesterday against Siverts and came through, obviously, with a great second set tiebreaker and then held it on in the third. So I'm really not sure what style Anthrop will play. I'm curious to see what he comes out as. But this is a current Buckeye versus a former Bear, double Bear actually, because Brumm was at Cal and in addition to Baylor. So he's a two-time Bear out here now on the pro circuit tour at 862 in the world versus 1024. And like I said yesterday, you can throw all these rankings out. You have people that are hungry and have desire and want to win. Jack was the last direct acceptance into the draw, and now he's in the final, so it's exciting for him. And I just wonder how everyone's going to handle sitting around all day for 4 or 5 hours with food and stretching and warming up and anxiety. So I'm just waiting to see the balls go in the air.
We are seconds away from seeing those balls go in the air as we now work it over to court 1, moments away from the women's singles final here. From getting started, Fangran Tien trying to be the second straight native of China to win this event. And she is trying to win her first in 2023 ITF singles title. She won one last year as we are underway, and she did it in Champaign, Illinois. So, Mark, as we get this underway, and it looks like we just had our first point. Fangran Tien is serving on the near side. What does she do that Schumann doesn't do?
Well, I think Fangran is now, once she gets ahead in the point, willing to come forward and make some transitions. She definitely has done that throughout the action in this event, and I'm looking to see for sure there'll be a lot of baseline duels as we're already seeing here in this first point. But the difference is if Schumann gets in trouble, Tien knows what to do in terms of coming forward. I think that Redelik yesterday made some net appearances and was successful in the first set, but that sort of dissipated in set 2 and 3. and Schumann really throttled in and made some adjustments with some drop shots herself in the third set and was able to get over the finish line.
Long on that forehand cross court from Schumann. What I love about Tien's game, Mark, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what my observation is she has 3 game points here at her disposal coming up in the hopes of a love hold, is that she can adapt her play style to whatever her opponent provides on the other side, no matter that style. And I think that's what makes her so special.
You mean like her throwing in a serving volley on game?
Which we didn't see a whole lot of yesterday from her, Mark. If anything, punches that volley on the backhand side long, but variety.
It's a good play. She's up 40-love in the first game and trying to close out the game with an open court shot, and Schumann clearly didn't see her coming. I think that right there is the difference in this match, as far as I'm concerned. Tien hits the big forehand in the Schumann's forehand. Schumann tries to play sort of that arcing roll, neutralizing ball that has pinned a lot of people back. But Tien just says, no, I'm not having it. I'm taking that next ball on the rise and going back behind you again. And so I feel that Tien supplies a pace and a rhythm that Schumann likes. So Schumann's going to enjoy countering off of Tien's ball. But I think Tien, when she gets the right ball, is still going to be able to offer some knockout blows. So I'd have to favor Tien right now in this ladies' final with the experience and the hot hand of how she's been playing. But I'm interested in seeing the types of adjustments that Aspen Schumann makes here as an upstart 15-year-old in her first 15K final.
You're absolutely right. In her first 15K final, and her first for Schumann at her first SoCal Pro Series event that she's played this summer. 7-1 this year in pro matches. You saw over on our second screen, they're still warming up before getting the men's singles final underway between Jack Anthrop and his opponent and Jacob Brumm. So we'll have that for you momentarily. Here is the first service game for Schumann coming off her semifinal win yesterday against the aforementioned Redlick.
And I think right away here, when she misses first serves, curious to see what happens in this moment here. The second serve goes into play. I really think Schumann has such a clean technique on the backhand. I feel that she can go direction changing and pinpoint cross court accuracy. Forehand is good as well, but I think she chooses to mix more than she likes to play big on it. She likes to work the spins and the heights there. Curious to see which side Tien tries to target more.
Pairs on both sides, one each in this second game. That win yesterday against Nikki Redlick, 4-6, 6-4, 6-3, took 3 hours and 27 minutes. That was the longest of 6 matches yesterday on these courts.
I think Schumann knows that she's up against a formidable foe and is probably having a little bit of angst trying to figure out what's going to be the key to unlocking unforced errors out of Tien. So she's throwing in a bunch already with the slicing, as you can see.
As you pointed out, though, Mark, there's this ability for Tien to have that extra indulgence or injection of pace with that forehand that could be devastating if Schumann can't find ways around that.
I just think with the nerves in a final, It's going to be helpful for Schumann to get on the board and get a hold here. I think that she's still going to be experimenting a little bit. She plays a lot of long rallies, and in those long rallies, she starts problem solving herself. By keeping the points longer, she can actually gain more information about her opponent. And the way Schumann was able to employ the drop shot tactic against Redelik and help herself out in the third, because it induces an ending to the point instead of a back and forth ad infinitum. But I feel that today, as you can see already, with 2 attempts here within 2 games, Tien's going to try to bring the youngster in and not allow her to just hang out back behind the baseline.
Tien, a great chance, looking for her 24th break of serve this week in the tournament.
That's tough. She had 2 of these forehand slices she tried to bring into the mix here, and that was half the game in terms of one long and one into the net. So definitely not the start that Schumann wants. And you have this just sense that Tien is just going about her business really, I'm not going to say Federer-esque, but she's so sort of just very calm and consistent in her rituals and almost unfazed by these moments. Amazing for 19.
Tien has won 8 of the first 11 points of this match, and that's the 17th time this week Schumann has been broken. And Mark, there's no way to stop that. How she takes it on the rise, stepping into the court with the width on the backhand, finding that angle.
Yeah, that was a bit of almost a side spin inside out backhand. I'm not sure she meant to hit it on the line and have it fade that way. It ended up being a lot more effective than maybe she even originally thought when she chose that shot. But I think the difference is that Schumann, with all those breaks, has been able to break back a lot. I think she's playing a different type of foe today. Oh, it's really well played. I think that Schumann tried to experiment a little bit here in the first couple of games, and I like her attempt, at least in the early part of this game, to extend the points and maybe try to test Tien's patience to see if she may make an unforced error later. But so far, yeah, Tien is just really not having it. She is on top of the business and really razor sharp with her ground stroke precision.
I would have to say, Mark, if there's not a whole lot that Tien is not, there's not a whole lot that Tien is doing that isn't great, but making more first serves, probably something top of mind for her. I'm sure that she's thinking about that.
Well, I just think Tien is so solid that that's a little bit intimidating right now. The moment is already intimidating for Schumann, but now Tien is adding consistency, winners, competitive statements, a solid wall. She's played offense, she's played big, she's moved the ball around, she's hit drop shots. Already within 3 games, she's put on a bit of a display of what she's going to be, which has so far been an impenetrable force. So yeah, I like to see how Schumann now adjusts here after 3 games.
3 games won, only 3 points given up by Tien as she is in control. As she has, as we look at her journey this week at this tournament, 3 of her 4 matches coming into this final by way of a 2-setter, was only on the court with her singles win yesterday against the 1-seed Samantha Crawford for an hour and 14 minutes in a 6-2, 6-1 victory. And when we were talking to her about that match, Mark, she quickly said, well, yeah, the score might look as if it was one-sided, but there were 4 deuce games, including 3 deuce games in the second set. And so the stats, the numbers might be deceiving as to how much that at times was a grind, as we see the men's final soon to get started, just under 5 minutes from getting that one underway between Brumm and Anthrop.
And after she lost that first set in the very first round, she's only lost 11 games, Brian. So that's pretty intense.
And just last week was in a final as part of this USTA Pro Circuit SoCal Summer Series. Going right back to the forehand. And she said one of the reasons that she felt like she couldn't come out on top last week in last Sunday's final at Rancho Santa Fe, a win for Megan McRae, a San Diego native, match that went 1 hour and 48 minutes, was that she felt really tired in that third set, and McRae was able to grind and just felt like her mind and body were severely challenged.
Especially considering she's still academically in school and traveling and competing. There's a lot going on. The rigors of the collegiate schedule most certainly prepare her for things like this. I think in the early part of the season, when you play all Americans and fall nationals and tournaments of that nature, when you're playing a lot of singles matches and then trying to do homework at night, I think this is similar, but obviously it's slightly different when you're on your own for 15K. I think this is tough. Schumann is not playing poorly. She just has to do a little bit more than she has had to do against the other opponents. She either has to offer a little bit more offense or a better way of earning points, free points on the serve, maybe transitioning, hitting bigger, none of which is at this point probably in her wheelhouse. So she needs Tien to come down and make more errors at this point. And there's one right there that you can get a first serve. That's helpful. That's a start.
That stops a string of 9 straight points won by Tien. She won as many as 14 points in a row yesterday in the victory against Samantha Crawford, where she had 5 breaks to serve on 13 tries and 7 holds to back that up.
Let's see, Schumann has a great backhand, and now she's taking that inside out backhand and missing it wide. There's no reason for her to make an error like that, but that's just a respect at this point of what Tien has already established in the match, and Schumann feeling like she needs to do more. So it's not that she's inexperienced. I just think that it's a slight overmatching, and Schumann really needed to get on the scoreboard early here to kind of, I think, just validate herself in this final to some extent. And I feel that Tien has done exactly what she needs to do and made a lot of positive statements in this match and is so calm about it. I think that she's going to continue to do so.
When you're hitting shots like that, Mark, everything seemingly is going your way, falling backwards and then going with the angle with that angled winner on the forehand side. Marvelous stuff.
But it's still a good choice. Falling backwards, Brian, you are supposed to hit cross court. That's what the geometry of tennis tells you. And so I mean, I was a winner, but it was most certainly the right choice of shot. She's thinking about trying to run around and didn't take enough adjustment steps there, and the ball got almost behind her shoulder. I don't disagree that maybe trying to take some second serve returns as forehands and get ahead in the point with time isn't a bad idea. But really, what I talked about yesterday, even though she won, is going to really be challenging today, which is if you're ahead in the point and you're Schumann, do you actually try to hit a bigger winner or come forward and transition? Or is just being ahead in the point going to be good enough against Tien?
It bounces twice. Tien has only at this stage of the match lost 1 point on her serve. That is it, as she eyes back-to-back love holds.
Oh my goodness, the serving volley. This time Schumann gets it at her feet on the dead run. Schumann's got an opportunity to play the pass. She goes cross court. Tien guesses right, and thank you very much, 5-0. And I like it. I like the idea that she's trying to close out the games with a little bit of transition and keep the youngster off balance. It's so far just all Tien.
The 1 point that she lost was in an earlier instance, Mark, as you remember, when she went serve and volley and missed that punched too deeply struck volley on the backhand end. As far as Schumann and what she has had to do, what a busy week it has been for her, considering that she had to come out of the quali draw, won 2 matches there, needed a third set super tiebreaker to win that second round of qualies, 10-6. And then went on to, in the opening round, make her presence felt in the main draw, taking down last week's winner, the 6 seed Megan McRae. Victories against Kylie McKenzie, Haley Giafara, and then the one that went nearly 3.5 hours yesterday as Brumm and Anthropef started their first game opening sets. Brumm on the far side, Anthrop on the near side.
Excited to see what style of play the guys adopt in the men's final. How long the points are lasting and who's looking to finish.
For the 15-year-old, the qualifier, Schumann hasn't won more than 2 points on any one of her service games. She's trying to up her number in this 6th game of the opening set, has been on the court in singles 8 hours and 46 minutes. That's not counting the 2 wins this week in qualies. If we were to look at Tien, 5 hours and 40 minutes this week in singles. But Mark, that doesn't tell the whole story because she's also won 4 matches in doubles. We watched yesterday. She picked up her 3rd ITF doubles title, teaming up with her UCLA teammate, Kimmi Hance. And they, after dropping the opening set, came back in a 3rd set super tiebreaker on a 6th match point. They won the doubles title, Hance and Tien.
That's right. And it was, so if you add it up in total, I would say that Tien has been on the court longer than Schumann this week when you do a combination of singles and doubles.
Swinging that forehand so freely is Tien.
Well, it's first game where Tien's made 2 unforced errors. So Schumann is currently at 30 all, but it's because there's been a higher unforced error count. And that steady diet of support of unforced errors plus forced errors is why Schumann's been so successful. Right now, with Tien playing so stingy, it's just been hard for her so far.
Well, this could be the first hold for Schumann. She's a point away from doing that. First time she's won 3 points on a service game.
And this will be very helpful, I think, to be able to get on the board here and not have a bagel posted as the first set. Schumann, for sure, gave a little come on there because she actually earned that with a forcing error. She had a big enough forehand to take a little bit of time away from Tien. So it'd be nice to see her close this game out, get on the board, feel like she's comfortable here in this final, establishing some scoreboard.
As you would say, Mark, the plot thickens just a little bit, and we take it to a deuce. This is our first deuce game, already broken twice today. Schumann, yesterday in 3 hours and 27 minutes, she was broken just 4 times on 9 chances against her service.
And there it is. Schumann running, hustling, competing, making balls, getting some distance and depth. That bodes well for her. She has to try to create a winning formula for this match, and I'm just not sure she's as comfortable enough with variety yet to play a variety-based match against Tien. I think she needs to stick with her bread and butter and just start running and hitting and producing a lot more depth on her ground strokes and see if she can get Tien just a little bit more.
Meanwhile, on the right side of your screen, we are on serve with Brumm at the line from Rancho Santa Fe. And as you said, Mark, played not only for the Cal Bears, but for the Baylor Bears. Some fine, prestigious tennis factories, if you will, for great talent.
And to Death Rider's question in the chat, do I think Schumann has a little bit fatigued from yesterday? Yes, she's young. So her legs, it's not just from yesterday, it's the totality of all the matches and coming through qualies. It is not easy to play the style that she plays and definitely to play all of the matches and the opponent. So she's feeling it a little bit, but she's going to get out there in the element of the match and do better. I just think that Tien came out and played solid, and she often, Schumann just competing often can get games just on that. And I think that she wasn't doing anything tennis-wise to earn games. And as the games were getting away from her, she was getting a little bewildered. So again, some players are more quality-based. They start off with big serves and big weapons, and some players just get out there and fight their butts off and actually learn how to work their way into a match. And believe it or not, Djokovic, who is Grand Slam champion 23 times over, is a little bit like that. Sometimes he comes out and makes balls and fights and earns his way into it. Today, Ruud had a nice lead on him, and he turned that script and obviously got title number 23. So, yeah, Schumann's tired, but Tien's tired as well. They're both tired.
Trying to change the script of this opening set. Schumann with a nice pass down the line with their vaunted two-hander, and is putting some added pressure here on Tien's delivery. First time Tien has given up 2 points by a returner in a game. What do you think this would do now for Schumann's confidence if she was able to capture the break in this 7th game?
No, I told you, Brian, it was about the first game. It was about getting on the board to get her established in the match. That's what she needed. Now she's in the match. That's why I thought it was critical that she wasn't bageled in that first set. So yeah, she's going to have some more pep in her step and start bringing it off the ground. But I think if Tien has her in trouble and gets her on the stretch where she's floating ball, she needs to come forward and use all of the transition confidence that she should have from being a doubles champion in this tournament to help her close out the singles as well.
Tien looking for her second singles title on the ITF Tour. First one came, as we mentioned, last fall in Champaign, Illinois. And when we got to talk to her yesterday, Mark, after her win in the semifinal against Samantha Crawford, you brought up a really interesting point about how there is this ability now for college coaches to be able to communicate with players on the court, and her thoughts on that. And more so than what a coach can say to her on the court, it's that they want her to stay positive no matter what's happening. And she radiates that positivity, and it's showing in her performance as well.
Yeah, that's tough. It's big game for Schumann to
Anthrop, oh, sorry to interrupt.
It looks like Anthrop is found some break points here. I think the pressuring the forehand corner like Tien did and following it in is a good play for her when she has the right lane to do it.
Use game number 2 on court 1.
Anthrop has put together some nice points here and working his way back into this game. Brumm playing from behind so much yesterday. I'm sure he'd like to try to play from ahead to start the final.
Not that one to go, did Brumm. He breaks for the 11th time this week and jumps ahead 2-1.
Yeah, I think he goes in and out of sort of having his legs in his serves. He does some serves that are just kind of like him arming it in. I think he needs to keep the linkage on the serve, so he's serving with some authority and a little bit more firm and weight, and backing it up with a good forehand that he has. I think he's giving Brumm too much time on the return. I understand the mentality of saying I'm going to get a high percentage of serves in, but I just think he's at a level now where he can get a high percentage of serves in, but still have a little bit more of his weight transfer going in, so the serve's a bit firmer. It's sitting up a little bit too much for my liking.
A 12-point finishing game of the opening set goes Tien's way, and for the 4th time this week, wins a set 6-1. She's got a set lead as they now will work their way to the 2nd set. With Brumm readying to serve on the far side, on the men's side. I've noticed something from the way in which Brumm is attacking these points. When he's serving, there's like this wait 1 or 2 exchanges from the baseline and then move forward. He's not going directly to the net following his serve, but he's going there sort of a delayed transition on his part.
Good feel. Anthrop has a lot of tools, I think, with the driving, the rolling, the chipping, the mixing. So he can offer some different looks to a point in a match and can change up the tempo, but I just worry that if he leaves too many balls in the center of the court, he's going to allow Brumm to dictate. Brumm was obviously up and down with his offense until the tail end of that match. I think that Anthrop needs to do a good job of keeping him back as well. It's a different kind of match than Anthrop was playing yesterday. Yesterday, he was just under so much pressure with the way that Keegan Smith can serve the ball and come forward that he didn't have a lot of room to kind of be himself and roam and experiment and play the different styles off the ground and different types of rallies. I think today he's going to get that. Still has to be careful not to leave Brumm too much of an opportunity. I worry about where Jack's core position is. I think that when Jack is serving, he should be closer to the baseline. And on the return game, it's okay for him to be back and compete some, but I think he should have his core position always as close to the baseline eventually as he can. See the forcing of Brumm right there, missing that forehand. He has time and opportunity there that Jack's giving him, and Jack's kind of daring him to make it. He's being a bit of a soccer goalie by laying back, and if the courts are slow, it for sure is a strategy. I just think you have to be careful. Brumm is competent enough volleying that if you give him too easy a crowd, he can close off the patterns. It's a nice job breaking right back from Anthrop, and I'd like to see how he does on his first couple service points here now that he's back even.
Broken at love, Brumm, after he held at 15 in his first service game. So 2 all men's singles finals, this 15K event as part of the USTA Pro Circuit SoCal Summer Series.
Yeah, so far using the slice is getting him a few unforced errors. That's the 4th unforced error he's able to generate by keeping the slice down. So clearly Jack's going to use that. It's giving him some information here.
Brumm was the doubles champ at this event last year, second week of the SoCal Pro Circuit. Still looking for his first ITF singles crown. 1 win away from making that happen.
My problem is when Jack went to the slice there, he backed up like 2.5 feet, and then all of a sudden with one more forehand, he was out of the screen. I just don't think it was necessary. He can actually play defense from a closer position to the baseline to try to induce the errors from Brumm. I think he gives up that much ground, he creates these approaching and attack lanes for Brumm that become a little bit easier, like there, that last point. That's a better serve. These guys haven't played with one another, and I think that now that you're finishing maybe the 4th game, there's been a couple of service games for both guys. They have a better sense, and after 2-3, either way, both of them can maybe come up with a winning formula for this match.
How great has this overall, let's say, last 3-4 months been for Anthrop as a freshman at Ohio State? Was in that 6 single spot, went 16-1, helped the Buckeyes get to the NCAA championship. Crack Records was on scene there for that one, and all week long with the team competition and the individual competitions as well. They fell short in that final against Virginia.
But towards the tail end of the season, Jack was one of the best points for the team. James Trotter was 27-0, but Jack was 16-1 and arguably was going to win his match in the NCAA final as well. So he really did a great job for Ty Tucker and the Buckeyes. Was on the bench and got the first opportunity during the national indoors and then ran with it later on. And some of it because Robert Cash was injured, but also because of how strong of a player and how hard he had been working as a redshirt freshman, kind of fought his way into the lineup. And clearly with them only losing one player from this last year, from this current team, they're going to obviously be back in the hunt next year as well.
34-3 season for the Buckeyes. It's so much about his game is predicated on whether that forehand simply stays in or comes up with an error. Everything, it seems, to how far he can go and where this game is going to take him, I'm noticing, is incumbent upon the forehand and what he can or can't do with it.
Yeah, a little bit too stiff there, not enough adjustment steps, and Anthrop's got an opportunity here to and that's helpful. Get some free points on the serve to go along with his ability to defend and mix. That's definitely going to be a good recipe for Anthrop. That's a nice job responding from losing his serve there at 1-all. Get this back up to 3-2.
Back-to-back games won by Anthrop as they head to a changeover. A love hold in reach for Tien here in women's singles final action.
That's too good.
That would be her second love hold today. She had 2 love holds yesterday in the semifinals of her 7 holds that she mustered, along with the 5 breaks of serve.
There was a little bit of a momentum shift for Schumann being able to hit being able to get the first game on the board at 5-0 and then actually have points for 5-2. It seemed like she was on her way to getting her teeth into the match and earning some respect and feeling better. Tien was able to stop that bleeding and close that set out, and now is back on a roll. I cannot impress upon it more important that the first game of the second set is a crucial game in trying to win a match, whether from the front or from the back end. So Tien is doing her job and keeping the pressure on the youngster.
Hogan at 30 in that first game of the second set was Schumann.
And although Schumann was down a set and 4-1 yesterday, and I made that comment and said, well, felt like she could come back in this one. I'm not sure today if she gets down a set and 4-1 that it's going to be that easy. I hope that she can settle in here and try to find a way to get a hold. I would make the match kind of boring right now and maybe even try to just go backhand to backhand with Tien and play on the left side of the court and try to stay away from some of the forehand weapon that Tien has shown already today.
It's so hard to keep it away, though, Mark, from that Tien forehand, and it does some big damage in that point, too, to elicit the forced error.
Yeah, it's hard when you're not getting your first serves in. Aspen's not getting the serve in, which is not allowing her to organize the point. So by throwing in the second serve that she's worried about, just double faulting to begin with, Tien's teeing off, and she's already on the back side of the point. Nice job from Brumm. Getting a quick early jump on Jack in this game and playing more solid off the ground and keeping his errors down, and now at 40 love.
Had a break lead, 2-1, broken right away. Add on the hold for Anthrop, and it's 2-3, close to being 3-all.
Now, the pressure on the forehand side is where Tien has really got a big advantage in the points. Schumann normally is able to defend and just find a way to stay in the point, but she's getting challenged, and clearly on the back end of the score, not really able to get her teeth in the match as a competitor and getting pushed around a little bit, showing that Tien has found a really nice rhythm and is in cruise control mode now, up a set in 3-0.
4 for 5 on break chances is Tien, enjoying a double break advantage in that second set.
That's well played. Love that play. Great job stepping up and taking it early. Good athleticism on the forehand volley up the line, and then covers and being able to play the overhead to the open court. It's a great transition play from Anthrop. He has the skill set. Sometimes he ends up getting lost back there playing a little bit more of a defensive style, but he's an all quarter that I think is an eventual all quarter. He finds his way in. I just think that in some instances he should come forward even more. I like what I see from him. Good ball.
Second hold for Brumm, first at 30 to draw level at 3-all with Anthrop. 6 games in. We're now into our 11th game on the women's final. You said, Mark, for Schumann at the end of that opening set, just get a game. Maybe that can help. What gives her the best chance here to get another game? And then build from there if she can.
Like I said before, she doesn't have a lot of choices right now. She's playing against someone that's playing well and executing well. So the only choices are, one, just compete and fight your butt off and get every ball back and try to make every point as long as possible until Tien misses, or try to spend more time in the backhand rallies where her technique and her backhand holds up. I think she's getting beat up on the right side of the court. The forehand, this rally is where she's getting beat. Backhand is where she has a better chance. So Tien is going to take the balls out of the air and close off the court well like that, then it's going to make it difficult for her. It's part of being a 15-year-old. And the 15-year-old, when she plays 18-year-old juniors in American tournaments, they're not, coming in and putting the balls away and keeping their consistency level up as high. So she's doing well. I'd be curious to see after she's had these experiences and maybe later in the summer she's playing in San Diego, trying to play for a U.S. Open spot in the girls' 18s, if these experiences have helped her to mature and play a different brand. But that right there, that big ball into the forehand corner, that's the one that's been creating all the time and opportunity for Tien. Tien makes an unforced error there, but that big first forehand into the Schumann forehand is where the points are really, I think, where Tien's gaining control.
She's gained control in this SoCal Pro Series. A record this week, obviously perfect, but 8 of 9 is her win-loss record, having won 8 of 9 matches coming into today in the last 2 weeks. And that's not counting the large number of wins that she had in the NCAA tournament as the singles champ. First time that UCLA Bruin has done that in nearly 30 years on the NCAA singles final. Tien on the doorstep of losing her service. Mark, back to that forehand cross court, and it shows up once again and helps Tien stay in this game.
Well, she's most certainly had enough positives off of that pattern to know to stick with it. She's not going to miss one or two or even lose a game and be concerned about it.
63% of Tien's first serves have gone in. She's winning 70% of her points when getting in that first serve. And with a break chance over her head, she saves a 5th break point of this match with a risky but very rewarding shot down the line.
There it is. Big forehand in the corner. She's just going to keep battling with her until that opportunity presents itself and then take it. If you were doing a tail of the tape, you would say, okay, experience, Tien. Serve, Tien. Forehand, Tien. Backhand, slight edge, Schumann. And then movement, slight edge, maybe Tien and movement. And then net game, edge Tien. So there's just a lot of edges here. And so Schumann has to really do well competing and getting the scoreboard going. That's what has to happen really for her to sink her teeth in this match. But it's much more on Tien's racket, and Tien's handled that responsibility and been delivering so far. And that's another ball on the line. It's just a lot of depth, a lot of quality. And then Schumann is just she's given an effort. But we know that both of these young ladies are physically fatigued. But what gives you some energy sometimes is the scoreboard, or just feeling like you've got something tactically that you can hold on to. But at this point, she's grasping for straws. I don't think that if you asked her right now what her winning formula would be, that she maybe have one right now. But obviously, she's an outstanding player and a great competitor. So she's going to play this until it's time to shake hands. I just unless Tien drops off a lot in terms of level, it's going to be difficult for Schumann to find a way into it.
4 straight points won by Tien after falling behind 15-40 in that last game. She had break points, did Schumann, 2 of them at love 3, and then 3 at 1-5, 5 total. And Schumann has not been able to capitalize on any of those at this point.
Too good.
Just checking in on what's happening on the men's side, their final. We've got a medical timeout with Brumm being tended to. They're still in the first set over there, Brumm and Anthrop.
Very physical match yesterday with Brumm and Zivertson. He most certainly is. Got to be feeling it a little bit today. Yeah, it's great tennis. Good movement. She's figuring out just in terms of hitting the first deep ground stroke in the rally. She's earning time and then cutting the court off. And with opportunity, she's really picking, I think, great decisions for the final shot. Her last shot has not been risky. It's been a lot of cross court winners, actually, not as many down the line winners from Tien. So I just love the feet. And I love this adjustment on the court position to move up on the second serve and attack it. See, that's all really great winning tennis. You're sending the message, hey, listen, you have no chance to hold here. I'm not going to allow it. And it's going to be a short afternoon here for this ladies' final.
The medical timeout is over. Men's final resuming. Anthrop can't track down that little drop shot. A little feathery finish with a drop volley from Brumm. That match you were talking about, how physical it was in the semifinal for Brumm, 3 hours and 22 minutes. Each player scored 108 points in the match.
Good ball. Good quality. Anthrop sometimes can come up a little flat and stiff on the backhand and not get enough shape on him, particularly when he's deep in the court. He has to make sure that he accelerates and puts some lift on. I thought that Anthrop raised his level on his backhand against Keegan Smith yesterday, and that was needed because slicing and floating too many of those was not going to be good for that matchup. So he made a great adjustment with his backhand yesterday.
Serving for the trophy is Tien on court one.
What's also just so devastating is that Tien just does it so quietly. She just really, well, that one was called wide, but she's just surgically taking Schumann apart here, and it's quiet. It's not a whole bunch of rah-rah. She's not yelling and screaming and fist pumping and being very demonstrative. It's just a silent assassin she is. Really efficient game, and hats off to Coach Stella, Sampras, Webster, and Rance, because they found this young lady. She didn't have a lot of results. They thought she was good, but she didn't have a lot of results, and they took a chance on her, and turns out to be what a union. And she was extremely academic focused, Tien. So her plan was really to go for 4 years and graduate, but she wins NCAAs as a freshman and starts winning pro titles. It's a wonder what may end up happening to that original premise.
Well, Mark, you were talking to her yesterday about the final that she took with her stats final, and she said how nervous she was, more nervous taking the final there than this examination on the court.
She doesn't seem too worried in the way she's been playing this tournament. And it's just over and over and over again. Lots of great shots.
Another great shot from Tien. Snow Han won this event from China last year on the women's side. It was her first ITF 5K title. Took her 2 hours and 36 minutes to do that. This one just at an hour flat. And Tien is 2 points away from going back to back with winners from China winning this event.
That's what I meant. Schumann just simplifying the tennis and taking all the responsibility off of herself and just saying, hey, you're the big bad collegiate player. I'm just a little junior, happy to be here. I'm just going to make balls and run. You put them all away. Like sometimes when you transfer the responsibility to the other side, it can get easier. It's just, unfortunately, just way too much scoreboard to overcome, probably.
Second straight service game for Tien where she's had to deal with at least one break point. On the board is Schumann, not going to be bageled here in set number 2.
But the challenge is what is the serving formula? What's her holding serve formula? That's the piece that's really lacking here so far today.
That's the just 8th time all week that Tien has been broken. Of course, that's over the span of 5 matches. At times, when Schumann is in trouble, she'll try to go with that forehand slice just to try and punch it over. A few of those have fallen into the net. This is just her 4th event professionally, looking for her first ITF title. Just finished her freshman year of high school in Northern California at Menlo Park.
Good job. Good transition from Anthrop and covered the line. I'd like to see him come forward a bit more and not try to rely exclusively on Brumm's unforced errors, because Brumm, we saw yesterday, can be up or down. It's a different type of roller coaster ride when he's playing well than not.
They're about to play their 9th point in that 8th game. Second deuce for Brumm, trying to hold. Could be a first time that Schumann, she's trying to battle back here, but wouldn't it be something if she could stitch together back-to-back game wins? 2 points from conquering that task.
That's the type of point Schumann loves to play. 20+ ball rally, lots of direction changing and running and challenging her opponent to hit better and better and better. Would be a big boost in her psyche to be able to get 2 games in a row. Well done.
Second hold for Schumann. What do you think about the way with the proverbial back against the wall, how she's been playing here, just preserving her hopes, keeping herself alive in this match?
I just think she's an outstanding competitor, and she doesn't want to lose. She doesn't want to shake hands yet. Great competitors will fight till the end because they hate to lose, and they don't want to be embarrassed by having such a low amount of games, on the scoreboard in the final. So she's going to fight tooth and nail. Tien will have to put her down, but a couple games in a row for Schumann is a real positive considering she was down so far.
Over to the men's final, where Anthrop has had 2 break chances squandered in this game.
I don't understand what's going on. There's some confusion about the line call. Is the ball good or out from Anthrop's forehand? So I'm guessing that Anthrop's forehand was called long before he looked like he carelessly missed the drop shot. I think his shot before was called long.
Did he sneak that one by, Mark? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he did. He did. It's a nice job. Jack has good feel, and I think a good sense on the slice.
We'll continue to monitor the happenings on court 4 while Tien will get a second crack at serving for a championship.
That first point was big, and there's Schumann drawing an error and showing a whole bunch of pep in her step and a little, come on. That's the thing that for sure has been a signature all week. She wins some of those tough points and wins the first points of games, showing that emotion and that grit in that fight. So here comes Schumann.
A chance to attack that second serve. Schumann airmails a return. Finalist at the girls' 18s. Easter Bowl this year in April.
Good pressure.
Powerful hitting from Tien as she progresses her way into the forecourt.
I can't even see Anthrop on the screen. He's getting so far back. That's a game point where that was almost careless to my way of thinking there. He's got an opportunity to go up 5-3 and He's almost just trying to taunt Brumm into making an error instead of playing from a better offensive position in the point.
We're about to, by the way, play a 15th point on that court. And to your point, Anthrop just missed out on a third break chance in that 8th game. Back to deuce again.
We'll miss that. Let's go to the women's final here for match point. Full screen.
Tien looking for her second ITF singles title, a point away. Fortune favors Schumann staying alive with that let cord, and it dies on Tien's side.
She'll take it. That's the shot. The signature one that's been there, and the number one reason why she was able to dominate this match. Cross court forehand through the Schumann forehand corner. 6-1, 6-2. Thank you very much.
It's the shortest match that Tien has played all week. Go figure, an hour and 12 minutes. She makes quick work of her opponent, the qualifier, Aspen Schumann. Tien picks up her second ITF singles title in what has been a summer/spring to remember for the 19-year-old UCLA Bruin. Back to men's singles action in that final, where after 16 points, Mark, Brumm holds in game 8.
I think it's a big hole. I think it's a big moment for Brumm, and of an opportunity lost for Anthrop. He didn't move his feet there on that last point. He gets flirting between, so it's deep court position. Sometimes he's too far away from moving up to the balls. Yeah, that's one that Brumm was having a tough time with yesterday as well. When the backhand is going cross court, but it's still in a position where he can run around it, but it's on its way into his body. He has a difficult time getting out of the way of that one, whether it be inside out or inside in. See, that's Anthrop just giving up too much time and opportunity. I think he has to be physical and hit that backhand. He's floating a mediocre slice that's sitting up in the air, and Brumm just steps up and says, no worry. That's not going to work here.
30 all in back-to-back service games for Anthrop. He did hold at 30 in game 7 from 30 all, 2 points later. Picked up his 4th game win.
Yeah, I think that's the way you should play on your own serve. Call me old school and traditional, but back in the Stone Ages when I played on my serve, I wanted to be in control of time and space and terms. I was okay on the other opponents, on my opponent's serve, to lay back and maybe grind or try to find a weakness or try to milk some unforced errors, but I definitely didn't want to my own serve back up 8 feet behind the baseline and run the risk of getting pushed around. To me, that defeats the purpose of having the serve and the opportunity to start the play.
Changing a couple heavy balls there.
It's just misleading because in Anthrop's position, he knows that Brumm may donate some to his cause. and he knows he's going to get some unforced errors on occasion. So trying to figure out the right balance of how do I milk errors out of Brumm versus how do I apply pressure. That's still something that he's kind of navigating throughout this match.
5 straight holds in this match after the 2 traded surface breaks at 1-1 and at 2-1. What a week for Jacob Brumm. 24 years old, 24-15 this year. That is his resume this week. The over 3-hour semifinal win, nearly 3 hours in the quarterfinals as well, Mark. So back-to-back matches coming in. Actually, if you do the math, over 6 hours combined when you factor in the time on court in the quarterfinal and semifinal together.
I think he loses the first set every time as well. And he's had a couple big defining sets in the quarters and semis that have gone to 7-5, 7-6 that he's gutted out and then been able to turn the tide and finish off the match in 3. So if that's been his pattern, well, he's possibly, if he doesn't hold serve here, going to be down a set again.
We need to hold serve to stay in this opening set, making 58% of his first serves. Broken only once, saved 3 break points so far.
And slice backhand draws another error. It's good pressure from Brumm.
So we are going to have Van Gran Tien join us momentarily. Currently taking pictures, soaking up the moment after winning for the first time a singles event on the USTA Pro Circuit SoCal Series.
Oh my goodness.
Now, when you say, oh my goodness, Mark, what is getting you to have that reaction?
There's just no way he should take that forehand and look for a drop shot in that moment. done a nice job of applying some pressure and hitting a big forehand and going in on Anthrop's backhand. Make that same transition route again. So he learns his lesson. If Anthrop is not going to be physical in the early part of the point, he's going to give Brumm time and opportunity, then Brumm should press him. I don't care if it's 50, 60, 70 times. He should keep coming forward. The idea that he should play the attrition match he played with Zivrich yesterday, he's got to be more fatigued from the weight of this tournament, but I just think it's a smarter play. If Jack's going to play back deep, then Brumm should be coming forward and taking advantage of the space. And there it is, taking advantage of the space on the ace because Anthrop is standing pretty far back on the return. He went out wide and gave him that opportunity. I think Jack dared him to some degree to make the serve, but Brumm answers the bell and 5-all.
Ace out wide for Brumm, his first in this match. That is 12 aces this week for him at this 15K event.
I know that's the type of point Anthrop likes to win. He likes these kind of longer, extended rally, rope-a-dope kind of points. I just think he has to be smart about needs the point on his own serve.
We have Fonron joining us here, so I'm going to move this iPad. After a finalist showing last week, Fang Tien winning it all here this week at the University of San Diego. Singles title number 2 for you on the ITF circuit. Fang, thanks so much for joining. Mark Bay, I'm Brian Fenley. What was different about your mental approach last Sunday when you got to the finals, and then what you did today that made all the difference?
I feel like for me, I just try to focus on the first part, like the first set, because I think I didn't play well last week Sunday, like the first set, and I just try to focus more and then bring more energy in the first set and to have a strong start.
Bangran, this Coach Bay, did you have a particular strategy or area you were trying to target? Were you actually running particular plays in terms of which way you wanted the rallies to go?
Like today at the beginning, because I've never played her before and I don't know her well, I just try to move her around, try to be more aggressive. And I don't have a clear strategy, but just try to be more aggressive and yeah.
What's next for you? Obviously, you've had this crazy string of winning in a lot of matches. What is next for you coming up this summer?
The very next is the finals week, and then I'm gonna pull out from Barnes because it's a lot of matches, and I have to go back school and do my finals, and then I'll probably play LA, Krimmer, and Irvine, those 2 tournaments, and then I will go back to China, and then there will be tournaments there too.
Outstanding. And so, because you've had so much tennis, do you think winning the doubles in a way helped your singles? It kept you sharper with returning and serving. And was the doubles in some way helpful for the singles title run?
I think it's first of all, it's so fun to play double with Kimmi. We're teammates and we just love enjoy playing on court, and then that kind of make me relax, kind of because if I'm only playing singles and it's always myself, but the double kind of give me some distraction, make me more relaxed and not stress about the match or anything.
The way you were able to set your tone in this match early on, what do you think was most challenging for Aspen in what you brought to the table, especially winning all those early games in a row?
I feel like her ball is definitely really deep, some of the rally, and I just try to don't go for winners. I try to build the point, and then if it comes short, I'll just try to hit it as wide as I can, but I try to just hit more rallies and build the point, then try to hit big shots.
So yesterday it took a whole bunch of match points to win that doubles, right? You're 9-4 and it went to 9-9. It was getting pretty scary, right? And then today you've got a 5-0 lead in both sets, but here she comes, 5-1, almost 5-2, and then 5-2 in a second. Did you get any jitters, any worries when she started making a little bit of a run?
Yesterday's doubles was hilarious. I couldn't imagine if we lost that match. It would be so sad. But I'm glad we put through. And then today, I feel compared to yesterday, today's situation is a little different because I was 5-0, not 5-4 having match point. But still, I just try to focus on the next game. I know I missed some when I'm up 5-0, but I just try to rebuild it and try to not think about last game and just imagine I'm not 3-0 right now and I need a solid game.
Fang Tien, my last question would be, we had that weather delay. It was 4 hours long. It seemed as if when you came out onto the court and were ready to play that you were totally dialed in. How did you do that given the weather disruption that we had on a day like today?
I feel first, I've been playing so much tennis recently, so I don't really I feel I need few balls to warm up and I have the feeling. And also I think it's really long, but I got schoolwork, so I'm not like I have something to do. It keep me like energetic and like just like awake and just so I wasn't like too stressed about the weather.
Anything from you, Mark? That
I
you'll
have
add?
not much to say, but go Bruins and congratulations.
Go Bruins!
Big butt on the finals.
Congrats.
Big butt on the finals. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Angran Tien, thanks so much for joining Mark Bay. I'm Brian Fenley, Daniel Westhoff, our producer. Look forward to seeing you later on this summer as your game continues to sparkle coming off that singles NCAA championship you won seemingly yesterday, but it was a little bit ago. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tiebreaker already had a few momentum shifts. Brumm is taking an early mini break lead in the breaker. Anthrop's come fighting back. And now it's Jack Anthrop on serve in the breaker after being down quite a bit. On serve here, late stages, first set. Anthrop was up 6-5. Brumm tied it up to go to this breaker. And now on serve, 3-4. First set tiebreaker. Men's final. Unforced error wide. Now Anthrop evens it up at 4-all. There's another opportunity for Mr. Brumm. Not a lot of footwork there. Willingness not to produce the two-hand back, and that ball sat there and could have been crushed. But Anthrop likes to go to the slice a lot and mix it. And sometimes when you're nervous, you like to throw the slice in, but it also begs the question of a low net clearance shot, which can sometimes go into the net at a big moment. And that for sure was a big moment. 5-4 Brumm. And yet another forehand on the left side of the court that misses the mark.
A lot of,
yeah.
I was just going to say that this is a lot tighter mark of a tiebreaker for Brumm than the one yesterday where he got it done in 8 points.
Anthrop just really tight there. And this is his first final. And it shows there. Tight backhand into the net. Brumm missing forehands off of opportunity balls. At this stage, Anthrop hasn't applied much ball quality or pressure here. He clearly is feeling it. 5-6, still in the set.
He's got the opening set with a smash. 7-5, it goes Brumm's way, and he claims a one-set advantage in this men's final.
Smart job by Brumm there. Instead of staying back and running the risk of making an unforced error, he just rushes Anthrop and puts the pressure on him, and Anthrop doesn't do a good enough job on the defense. So I think Brumm had a pretty good stranglehold on the breaker in the beginning, and it's a nice job by Anthrop recovering and getting it back, but didn't do much off the ground there late in the tiebreaker with the backhand chip into the net and the short balls.
Here's what's coming up next week. The SoCal Pro Series makes a stop at the iconic Barnes Tennis Center. And Crack Rackets will have the coverage there this upcoming weekend. Singles semis, doubles finals, singles finals on Sunday. Think about, Mark, all the time that you've spent at Barnes and all of the great players who grew up fine-tuning, refining their games there. There are so many legends who have come out of that tennis sanctuary.
Well, considering the girls' nationals are there, but also some ITF juniors and the Easter Bowl has also been there. There's been so many different events that have gone through there. So it's not just the pro circuit stuff, but the juniors and the ITFs and the girls' nationals. So yeah, I've probably spent a better half of August for the last 15, 20 years bouncing between Kalamazoo and San Diego. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in that town, and Barnes Tennis Center is a great place for tennis. It's a wonderful venue. ATP 250 there now as well. Ryan Redondo has done a great job taking over there and having a lot of high quality tennis coming through that facility.
We got some high quality tennis that we've already seen on this court today. About to see more of it starting the second set. An hour and 19 minutes in. Last year, first time they held this tournament at this venue, it was a win for Duarte Vale from Portugal, beating Nathan Ponwith, the American, in 3 sets in 3 hours and 45 minutes, which is essentially what we're going at here, an hour and 20 minutes. And if we go 3 sets, it'll be somewhere in that territory. We're on pace for something in that realm.
Got a lot of long tennis matches here. I agree. Duarte Vale was the former #1 player for the University of Florida. And then he ended up going all the way down to #3 singles because Ben Shelton and Sam Riffis, who were 2 NCAA champions, ended up playing ahead of him after he had played 1. So it just shows you how good that team was that won the national title.
A late, is that called out, that backhand?
Oh, it felt wide to me.
It looked wide.
Not sure until we see the score ticker. Yeah, it was wide.
We've had a lot of upsets this week. The 1 seed Govind Nanda fell in the first round. There were also first round exits for the 2 seed Alfredo Perez and the 4 seed Gage Breimer. Pegs him with the swing volley and closes the net, closes the angle so brilliantly, does Anthrop.
And he followed it well. Good split step, good read. He's wiry. He's got some reach. And it's proven already in this match that he's capable at the net. So hopefully he finds different ways to come forward, not just the drop shot.
long return in that sequence from Anthrop. Sixth time that he's played an event on the SoCal Pro Series, looking for his first pro title in singles.
Now he's playing so deep in the court, Brian. I just feel like if we were at the French Open, maybe I get it. We're playing on a slower hard court, and if he's floating the balls and just not hitting heavy enough, it's almost like his forehand is heavy, and he could play deeper if he's hitting forehands. But I think if he's playing backhands, he should be much closer to the baseline. Now that seems a little bit contradictory what I'm saying, but I just don't think that his backhand ball is doing enough from deeper in the court. His forehand's heavy enough to have a sustainable rally ball and a shot tolerance that would be okay. But I think he gets exposed too deep in the court when the balls go through his backhand corner.
How hard is it to break a habit like that for him in match?
Well, he's been winning a lot. His success rate, if you think about the last 25 matches he's played, he's probably 23-2. You know, he hasn't lost much. Yeah. So when you have winning patterns here, you're going to stick with those. See, he takes that backhand really well. That's too bad he missed the forehand. I think that Brumm has learned a little bit about himself throughout this championship, understanding that he has to be steadier and have a complement to his offense. And he's matured, I feel like, through his matches. They've been hard-fought, gladiating battles, but I think Brumm has gotten smarter and better at his craft over this tournament.
Outsmarting Anthrop in that first game of the second set with the hold after a couple of errors off of Anthrop's racket in that game. 7-5, the tiebreak score in that opening set. If you're just joining us, Mark Bay, Hall of Fame coach. I'm Brian Fenley, Daniel Westhoff, our producer. You are watching Cracked Rackets and our coverage of the men's final here on the campus of the University of San Diego. Stop number 2 in a 7 consecutive week journey. That is the USTA Pro Circuit SoCal Series. Not even going to attempt to go for that dropper, disguising it so well after the tee serve from Anthrop.
Well, he had a great serve, and he's inside the court with time and options, and he backs it up with a good forehand. So when you do that, yeah, that's a quick hold. I most certainly like the looks of that game for Anthrop.
Not even a
nice job yesterday. Excuse me, did a great job yesterday, being down a set against Keegan Smith, but figuring out a style and a couple different really good options to be able to hold serve consistently. So he can problem solve.
That he can. 1-all after a hold that lasted under a minute from Anthrop in a game that lasted under a minute.
That's big time. Big serves. Brumm's still looking like a Baylor Bear out there. He's still repping even though he can't wear the school outfits, he's still repping the colors. Anthrop is over there in some old school vintage Nike purple from his sponsorship in juniors when he was wearing Nike. Get out of here. What a shot.
Mechanically, technically, Mark, what do you think about the way in which Brumm hits that forehand?
The way he hits the forehand? Well, that was a backhand winner on the last shot, but his
on both, but yeah.
His forehand is actually technically fairly simple. I think he sometimes gets a little stiff and doesn't always take enough adjustment steps to get around the ball, and that's where he runs into problems.
Not running into any problems on this service hold. Back-to-back love holds. We're on serve through 3 games of the second set. Jack Anthrop and his run this week. Mark pointed out that semifinal victory against Keegan Smith, coming back from a set down, and then in the quarterfinals beat the 3-seeded Jamie Floyd Angela after losing to him in the quarters last week in Rancho Santa Fe. Straight set win against Justin Roberts, and getting out to a good start with a win, Mark, in the first round, and another having to come from behind, but against the 7-seed in Punacha.
Yeah, all these tournaments have their own unique storylines, and you have to battle. You have to come and roll up your sleeves and accept whoever you get in the draw and fight your way. You make your own draw in these. And so I love the path that he's taken, and he wants to hold up the main trophy here. He's going to have to do a good job of holding serve and keeping that going until he gets a break opportunity.
He did hold the trophy last week, but in the world of doubles, where he in Rancho Santa Fe teamed up with his Buckeye colleague, Bryce Nakashima. They won the 15K event there. They had actually never played before, so that was a good display of quick chemistry from them.
Yeah, it just shows you, if you understand doubles, you really learn it well. You can pick up random partners sometimes and gel like that. It's a great ball. Yeah, a little bit deeper in the court, he still has a lot of different options, spots on the court he can hit with his forehand. He can play it up, he can play it wide, he can play line. So I'm okay with him a little bit deeper in the court and sort of working the forehands around. But when he gets too deep and it goes to the backhand, he just doesn't have the same quality or distance on it.
He's won the first 6 points on his serve in the second set.
Yeah, I think that Brumm's on to something. I feel like that place he just attacked in that manner, if Anthrop's going to leave the second serve sitting there, Brumm should attack him on the backhand just as he did and make that a normal play.
All the more important, Mark, to get that first serve in if you're Anthrop.
No doubt. But after Brumm just made that outstanding backhand Russian charge play, and then he takes the next forehand on his racket and doesn't get it in play. Oh, geez.
Clever finish.
These guys are all pretty skilled now. It's no surprise that they can all hit the tweener shot. Everybody likes to practice the fun stuff, Brian. So everyone's got that shot now.
How long did it take you, Mark, to master that shot?
To learn the tweener?
The tweener shot.
Yeah, maybe 2 weeks.
What's the hardest part about getting it down?
You got to understand where you're contacting the ball. You've got to overrun the ball a little bit, contact it right about ankle level. You got to change your grip between a continental and like a kind of an Eastern forehand. And then you can just scoop it under your legs and either hit it hard or hit it as a lob. Alcaraz hit one at the French Open that was just unbelievable against Djokovic. I don't know if you saw that one.
You certainly feel for Alcaraz with the cramping that he was dealing with in that semifinal, but Djokovic is now the sole leader in the slams race.
Yeah, that weather pattern happens sometimes at the US Open where you get some days where it's in the 70s and all of a sudden you get a day where it's like 90. You just get a 14-degree temperature change out of nowhere. Kind of came up. It's too bad for Alcaraz. You hate to see anyone have a loss of condition. Meaningful match.
You could say this is a meaningful match and an impactful forehand to throttle for Jacob Brumm. We talk about, Mark, the incentive for these players to be a part of this for so many reasons. It's such a win just to be a part of these SoCal Pro Series summer events. And Brumm, I believe, did he connect on that backhand? That was a thing of beauty if he did. Yes, it is called good. But because he's a U.S. citizen, because he's a SoCal resident, he qualifies for what could be and what on the men's side and the singles side and singles they're racing for, and that is a wild card spot in the qualifying draw of next year's BNP Paribas Open. And the winner of each SoCal Pro Series event in singles gets 32 points. So the top point getter after the 7 weeks of the SoCal Pro Series gets that achievement under those aforementioned criteria.
And it's super smart to offer that because it keeps people wanting to play 3, 4, 5 weeks out of the 7. You really lock people in. If they get a feeling that they have a shot at it, right? You're going to keep playing. A little different than what the U.S. does when they're offering wild cards for Australia and French Open with those reciprocal wild cards. They have those challenges and they identify a few events, and whoever has the most points in that series gets a wild card into a slam. It's a great concept, having earned advancement and wild cards that are performance based.
Well said, Mark. Could not have said that better myself. By the way, 3 love holds in this second set. No game lasting more than 6 points, which is completely different than in the opening set where we had a 16-point hold at one point for Brumm at 3-4, where he shredded 3 break chances on his serve and then got the hold and then won the opening set 7-5 in the breaker.
Yeah, they always say that the 7th game is the big game, but in that particular first set, I would say that 8th game was the pivotal.
Why does it always seem to come down to, Mark, that 7th or 8th game?
Well, usually just mathematically, it's deeper into the set where someone can pull away or be close to closing it out.
Here's Anthrop at the line.
That's a bad miscue from him.
Is that a footwork thing and just the depth on the return? What caused that?
I'm not sure if he misjudged it with his eyes. He has a fairly big windup with a swing, and sometimes he goes into the windup on the swing, but doesn't always have his feet connected. And that's where he runs into the trouble. And speaking of which, he needs to settle down right now. He's gotten off to a bad start in this game, and that's why it's so important to hold from even. I was talking about that yesterday because now Anthrop is down a set, and he's at 1-2 and 2-3. And as you're trying to hold serve there, if you don't, it just gives that opponent a 2-game cushion and the balls to try to serve and go 3 games away. It's big in terms of the score. So
2 forehand errors have made things very interesting for Anthrop trying to meet Brumm at 3-all. And a third error on that same side. And Mark, you can hear his audible frustration. Our Mike's picking that up. And at what point do you feel like getting too worked up can actually get in the way?
Well, he's been calm all the way through. So he now is showing the stress because he knows that he doesn't consolidate this. The match can kind of get away from him. But it's also feeding Brumm's confidence at the same time. Wow, 4 forehand errors in one game. That's uncharacteristic. He's normally a lot more solid than that. That was clearly mental.
Very much so. A 4-point game, and coughing up his serve is Anthrop. Brumm achieving his second break of serve in this match, and has to like where he is positioned now. The Torrey Pines high school grad trying to earn those valuable ATP World Ranking points and pick up as many as he can with a win today.
Winning the first points and getting first serves in is really helpful. I just think Brumm is, like I said, I think he's matured from the last couple rounds. I think he's learned, and whoever's spending the time coaching with him this week is, I think, analyzing some of the different momentum shifts and reasons for winning and losing, and got him more locked in today. He's just much more of a consistent product, I think, and he's serving better today than he has in the last 2 matches.
Serving better, locked in. T service ace. He's won the last 10 points in this match.
Well played.
You said the operative word there, consistency. That's been all the difference for Brumm. And when he is on, when he has that consistency, Mark, how good of a player can he really be?
It's not that tall in stature, so it's a little bit more difficult, I think, for the guys in tennis that are not that big. But he has a nice complement of skills because he can play from the back and he can also come forward. So he gets a little bit more consistent with serve and return and his ground stroke rally tolerance, then he has a chance to translate and get out of this 15K level and start pushing into the challenger level.
These errors that are coming more frequently as of late, that's 12 straight points, by the way, won by Brumm. But for Anthrop, how much are you attributing this to a frustration that he's holding on to when he was broken earlier in the set at love?
Yeah, he's disappointed right now. He feels like the final's gotten away from him. He feels like he should have probably taken care of breaking at 3-4 in the first and been up the first set. And so now it's all kind of I think a culmination of some things that got him disappointed. But he's still playing. He's still in the match. And so that's why I'm disappointed that he let the last couple games go by so quickly, because you have to keep fighting and poker face it a little bit better.
Here's a culmination of what Brumm has had to do to get into today's final. Last three matches, Mark, you pointed this out. Great observation on your part. And all three of those latest matches losing the opening set. What does that tell you about the kind of competitor he is in being able to put constantly first set setbacks and then changing the tenor of a match and gaining grip as the match goes on?
There's a turning point in all those other matches, and most of those were second set turning points. Today it was a little bit of a first set turning point. But once he's gotten past that hurdle, he's been a good front runner.
Gets himself a point. Anthrop, after being broken at love in his last service game. He's had to knock out Anthrop to get to this final, the 7th seed, the 3 seed, and the 6 seed. And 3 of the top 4 seeds on the men's side did not survive past the opening rounds.
Yeah, it's a good forehand there, good pressure, and a much better court position for Anthrop to hit from. I just think that he was hoping too much that Brumm was going to make the mistakes that he's been making all tournament long, and he chose to play the match from a little bit more defensive posture, and Brumm just hasn't been that same unforced error roller coaster ride today. He's been a steadier product.
Pretty steady, though, from a micro level, this game for Anthrop, his serve. But with all the rain and the weather that we had, and that pushed our start time 4 hours past when it initially was supposed to get underway, our singles finals, men's and women's. The women, Mark, got a chance to get in some warm-up before the rain really hit. The men didn't until they faced off, and they had a little bit more of an extended warm-up because of that right before the match. What do you think that does in terms of what we're seeing on this court today, just the way that the elements and the conditions
that could affect things. It could, because Ohio State and the routine that Jack's used to is a much more extensive and thorough warm-up period. So Jack may not have had his normal, amount of time and balls hit that he's maybe accustomed to from his season at Ohio State. So yeah, that definitely could factor in. But he had an opportunity to take that first set. So regardless, once you're in the match, you gotta handle the business. But I just think right now he's playing so deep in the court, I don't even see him. I just think he's just so far away that it's just difficult to give up that much room. And Brumm has been executing his serves. He's been making the serves. There's a lot of schools of thought on returning, and some people are okay with the returning from the fence, Medvedev types of strategy, but I just don't buy it. I mean, Djokovic plays from much closer. The best returners that have ever played in tennis, if I name Agassi, I say Connors, I say Monica Seles, whoever I say, they played early and took the ball early and got the ball back on the other side. So I'm not a big fan of being out of the TV screen on the return. I just think it opens up too many angles. And right now, Brumm has done such a great job hitting the spots that he is comfortable with the space that Jack has given him.
Match points and a surplus of them, 3 for Brumm after sliding in his 4th ace of the day. He's got it done. Brumm, his first ITF singles crown, and he does it in San Diego, his hometown. The 24-year-old wins over Jack Anthrop in straights.
What a performance. It's by far his best match of the week. Clearly, it's not Jack's best day. Jack will be a little disappointed looking back on this one. He'll learn from it for sure. It won't be Jack's last time in a 15K final, but you really have got to tip your hat. Jacob Brumm came out and persevered and made it through all of these really tough and competitive matches all week and saved his best tennis for the final. And regardless of how long it took to get on the courts today, he was ready when the bell rang. And I just feel like his serving was really the best. But in addition, I thought his forehand did not let him down. It was a lot more consistent and precise. And then he did a good job on the backhand and the net appearance. It was really, I think, soup to nuts, a great performance by Jacob Brumm and a well-deserved title.
Brumm at one point of the second set won 13 straight points, had that love break on a serve from Anthrop. And then Anthrop had that chance, as we pointed out, at 3-4, or excuse me, Brumm was serving at 3-4 and a 16-point game and a service hold with 3 break chances missed out on by Anthrop. This match could have been completely different, Mark, if Anthrop is able to capitalize on one of those break points.
And if Anthrop had played the backhands better at the tail end of the first set tiebreak, he came up a little soft there with a chip into the net and then a backhand into the net. And so he most certainly could have played to win. I think he was playing to hope today and hoping that the Brumm's cycle of unforced errors would have given him maybe the win on the defensive end. But today, Brumm's offense and together with the serve and the first shots and the court position, I think it was a total package that got Brumm over the finish line and obviously well-deserved title for him.
With that win, that's 32 points for Brumm added as far as the tally for the race to Indian Wells and the 2024 BNP Paribas Open. The top point getter, men's and women's singles, during this 7-week stretch as part of the USTA Pro Circuit SoCal Series, under the conditions that they either are a Southern California resident, which Brumm is, or they're a full-time Southern California college student and have to be a U.S. citizen. All of those things, and you're the top point getter after the SoCal Series, and you're getting, Mark, a wild card spot in the qualies at Indian Wells. That is very enticing and one step closer to getting that in a big way with that massive number of points is Brumm.
No doubt. It's early on. It's only week 2. We'll see once we get to the end of week 4, we get to the end of Kramer, we start getting to Lakewood, then the picture will become a little clearer. But for right now, yeah, he's got a nice little kickstart there, and hopefully he rests up and just keeps going. Because this circuit is obviously week after week after week, no one person could possibly go 7 in a row and go deep. I mean, it's possible. It just depends on how deep you are, but everybody's bodies at some point will have to take a break. So the person that wins this, maybe that's 5 great performances or 5 solid results and maybe 1 title and maybe 3 or 4 other solid weeks to back it up. I would like to see, who wins it and what the actual resume is to earn that. But being able to play at Indian Wells is a tremendous carrot and credit to everybody that it's been part of this actual tournament and organization, because I really feel that it's a special thing. It's unique. And I think it's great for American tennis.
We can't say enough great things about Chris Boyer, who is chairing this SoCal Pro Series as part of the USTA Pro Circuit, all the work that he has done and his team. And of course, our tournament director in Nadia Abdallah, who is the women's head coach here at the University of San Diego, has done an outstanding job with her team here. What a venue this has been, and always looking forward to any sort of event that is happening at this place and this venue, because it's going to be done in a state-of-the-art, world-class kind of way. We do have an interview upcoming with our winner. We spoke with Fangran Tien, the victor on the women's side in singles, the UCLA Bruin. We are soon to have Jacob Brumm join us. He's a SoCal native. How did he pull this off? What a week it has been. We'll get his thoughts on that when we come back. You are watching post-match coverage of the men's singles final, week 2, as part of a 7-week stop on the USTA Pro Circuit SoCal Series. Jacob Brumm, our winner on the men's side, set to join us in moments. Don't go anywhere. We are talking with the champ, Jacob Brumm. You saved your best effort for a championship in your first ITF singles crown. How did you do it so smooth and so methodical out there today against Jack Anthrop?
Well, nothing about this week was smooth. I don't know if you've looked at my results. I just had three setters in a row where I lost the first set in each one. Today, I just tried to have more intensity in the first set compared to the other matches, and it was a really, really tight first set. Came right down to the wire. I came in on a couple huge points to win that breaker, and then in the second set, I just tried to keep my energy high because I'm so close. Just stay ahead a little. Maybe the break will come. It did, and then serving it out at love like that when you're feeling the nerves is I can't explain how. I just did it.
Hey, Jacob, this is Coach Mark Bay. You had a great serving day today, buddy. Like the serve percentage really sets the tone for your forehand and everything else. Did you take any extra reps, do anything different? Like, why was the serve a better day today? Did you just learn from the other days?
Yeah. Hi, Coach. So my coach, because I live here, my coaches have been here every match. So every match we've made little tweaks and adjustments, and we made a couple today from the previous days. So just pronating more, getting a faster finish, getting my arm farther back. So those were really the two things. And then obviously it's never easy to serve in the clutch. Anything can happen with nerves, but yeah.
What does a win like this do for your confidence, Jacob, your sense of belief and what you're capable of in your tennis future?
Yeah, I knew. I didn't know. I trusted that a result like this would come as long as I kept working hard, and I feel like the last couple months my level has been there to make a deep run. I made the semis recently on clay, and I've been beating good players and playing good tennis. So I just trusted that this would come, and really. This just makes me more like getting to the semis made me know that good week was going deep, and gave me confidence to make deep runs. Now this is next time I'll be in the finals, it'll be even easier. I started out really nervous, and it was nervy tennis, but I think that for now on I'll this little experience will really help.
Yeah, Jacob, you were a little bit more like a roller coaster ride with the unforced errors and the offense. Big forehands, miss a forehand, go for it down the line, make it cross court. So there was a lot of up and down with your ground stroke game, but today it leveled off and you had a great core position and you were able to get in on Jack's backhand. So do you feel like you just got smarter over the week, or you learned more, or anything click in the day? It just was a much more solid performance off the ground with fewer unforced errors.
Yeah. My first match of this week was the best tennis I've probably ever played. So, and then it sort of deteriorated after that. But then I was able to just find ways in those matches. And today, our whole motto was play one ball tennis. Where you're just out there with one ball, make every ball, and then it was any chance I got, to come in and put pressure in the net. And so I don't know if I was just more disciplined and not overhitting when I was, approaching to the net, or what. But I agree. This good catch, coach, on my unforced errors in previous rounds. So, yeah.
Well, Jacob, we're excited to see what this does for your career. It's only going to go up from here, considering how you played, and considering that for a guy that in his last two matches coming into today had played a combined 6 hours, it must feel nice to get a match done in a final in under 2 hours after what you said. That first round was so good. But as we wrap up this conversation, Jacob, we are so excited for you. For Mark Bay, I'm Brian Fenley. Thanks so much for doing this with us, and thanks so much for entertaining us with the way you played out there this week.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for covering this event. You guys did a great job. We all watched the live streams and everything. So thank you guys so much.
Congratulations, Jacob.
Thanks, Coach.